With so many Sony cameras on the market, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. However, I found 5 standout cameras in Sony's lineup that I believe are perfect for content creators. So in this video, I'll explain the pros and cons of each of these cameras from their cheapest to their most expensive options, and stick around for the end where I'll reveal which camera I would pick up today if I was just starting from scratch. You gotta just press record. Hi everybody, Craig Pruitt here with Think Media. For this video, we're going to focus on Sony cameras that can be purchased in new condition from online retailers, so you can rest assured knowing that you aren't getting a camera that already has issues that you aren't aware of. Number 5. Sony ZV-1. We're going to start with the cheapest camera options, and then move on to the ones that are a bit more expensive. Starting off our list is the Sony ZV-1. This is, in my opinion, the best value point and shoot camera that Sony currently offers today. Even though this camera was released back in 2020. Right now, it's holding its value right around $648 US, which is a pretty fair price point for what you're getting. This camera is really targeted towards vloggers and content creators who want the simplest possible shooting experience. You don't want to deal with all the bulkiness of these larger camera bodies that might have interchangeable lenses, all that kind of stuff. You just want simple, this is the camera for you. I personally love making content with this little camera because it gives me more control over my image than my iPhone 15 Pro Max does, and it's just as easy to carry around as my phone is. Some notable specs about the ZV-1 is that you get a built-in 24-70 full-frame equivalent zoom lens. This is awesome because you don't have to purchase any lenses for this camera. You already get the pre-built lens that's just built into the camera that's a 24-70 focal length. You also get a built-in ND filter with this camera, which is awesome for being able to vlog in brighter environments outside, but still maintaining correct shutter speeds. That ND filter really just kind of acts like sunglasses for your image sensor and lets you shoot in the correct camera settings. This camera also doesn't have any record limit, which is awesome because the Sony ecosystem had a 30-minute record limit, but this camera doesn't have a record limit, which is really awesome for video podcasting and live streaming formats. You also get a flip-out screen to be able to record yourself, which is great for anyone who does sort of vlogging or likes to take selfie images. Number 4. Sony ZV-E10. The next camera on our list is the Sony ZV-E10. This camera has a lot of the same benefits as the ZV-1, but it's improved in a few ways. First, this camera is still a simple and user-friendly design for creators who just don't need all of the extra bells and whistles that some of these higher-end camera bodies come with. At $698, it's only about $50 more than the Sony ZV-1. With that $50 increase, you're getting an APS-C size sensor instead of the 1-inch sensor of the ZV-1. All that really means is having a larger sensor is really helpful for getting better image quality. Maybe some shallower depth of field as well if you're wanting to isolate yourself from the background a little more and have the background look blurry. APS-C sensors are much better for that than a 1-inch sensor, and the APS-C sensor size is always better in low light over that 1-inch sensor. I really like the ZV-E10 sensor. It's the same sensor as the Sony A6100, a 6400, and a 6600, so this camera really will get the job done, especially for vloggers or people who even do talking head style videos just like this one, or if you take pictures. This sensor performs well for all of those scenarios. You also get the ability to adapt detachable lenses to the ZV-E10, which just gives you a lot more flexibility with your composition and creative looks. You will want to factor in the fact that this will increase your overall cost because you have to buy a lens as well as the camera body. But every other camera on our list here leverages the detachable lens system, so you can transfer those lenses from body to body over time and just build up your lens lineup over the years as you switch from body to body. But with the ZV-1 you don't have the ability to change your lenses, so you're kind of just locked in with the lens that's built into the camera. I love the ZV-E10. It's a great option. Really quick, a word from our sponsor Epidemic Sound. If you're a content creator or a YouTuber and you're looking for music for your video projects, then you definitely need to check out Epidemic Sound. When you subscribe to Epidemic Sound, You're able to use their entire music library and all of their sound effects inside of your YouTube videos and your social media content and still monetize your videos. Number 3. Sony a6700. The next camera on our list is the Sony a6700. This is really where you're going to see a huge jump in image quality and performance. A new a6700 this year will cost you $1,398, and frankly, I think it's worth every single penny. You get a brand new image sensor over the ZV-E10 and the rest of the A6000 lineup, which is going to give you that updated color science that we love in these newer Sony cameras. You get better resolution options and better frame rates, and overall, all this means is you're going to get much better image quality for video and photo shooters. This is the first camera on this list that I highly recommend for photographers. So if you're someone who does a lot of video work for YouTube or social media, but you also need the ability to take high-quality stills, I really like this camera for photography, especially because it has a pretty good viewfinder built into the camera. This camera has incredible autofocus, so it should really handle any photo requirement that you throw its way. With the ZV-1 and ZV-E10, we get an older menu system. This is a little bit more clunky in the Sony ecosystem, but with the a6700, we get the brand new menu system that we're seeing in all of Sony's top-tier cameras. So this is a much more friendly user interface and just makes for a more pleasing experience when operating the camera. You also get in-body image stabilization, which is huge for anyone who does action photography or vlogging, and you need to make sure that that sensor is always stabilized so you get smooth motion out of your images. That in-body stabilization, otherwise known as IBIS, is going to be really helpful to getting smooth images. And finally, you're just going to get a better ergonomic shooting experience out of the a6700. You get a bigger grip, you get a bigger battery, and it's just a fun camera to shoot with. It's way more reliable as far as build quality, and especially if you're working in professional environments, you'll see a significant difference in the build quality in the a6700 over these other two options. Number 2. Sony FX30. The fourth camera on our list and the final APS-C camera that I'd recommend you purchase is going to be the Sony FX30. Now, this camera has the exact same sensor as the Sony a6700, so as far as image quality, all of the things I said about the a6700 apply to the FX30 as well. The main difference between the a6700 and the FX30 are the fact that this camera is designed for video specifically. This camera is a part of Sony's FX line of cinema cameras, which is obviously designed for video creators. With the FX30, we get this brand new exterior shell that's adopted from its big brother, the Sony FX3, so these cameras on the outside look basically identical. With the FX30, you get a built-in fan, which is great for the reassurance that you know your camera is not going to overheat. Some of these Sony cameras from time to time, if you are in a super hot environment or you're shooting in the higher 4K resolutions, you can struggle with overheating at times. But because of this built-in fan that the FX30 has, you can rest assured knowing your camera is never going to overheat. You also have the option to adapt the audio top handle that this camera is able to come with, and really this just improves first the ergonomic experience of shooting with this camera. I love shooting with the FX30 and FX3 for handheld B-roll. Because of that top handle, it's such a beautiful experience, and I often gravitate towards that as my camera of choice for B-roll capture. And then of course, integrated into that top handle are two XLR inputs, which is awesome for high-quality audio recording. I'm actually utilizing that top handle right now as my audio interface for recording this video. Number 1. Sony a7C2. Now we're going to move into some of the full-frame Sony cameras that Sony has available this year, and when you move into that full-frame category of cameras, you're going to get better depth of field, better image quality, and better noise performance in low-light situations, so there really are a lot of benefits. However, you also have to use full-frame lenses when shooting on full-frame cameras. Some full-frame cameras let you attach APS-C size lenses to the camera and then switch the camera into APS-C crop mode, but then you're losing a lot of the benefits of shooting on the full-frame camera system in the first place, so I'd highly recommend saving up the money to buy full-frame lenses for your full-frame camera bodies. With that said, the first full-frame camera that I'd look at is the Sony a7C2.
next video.